All right, we've talked receivers, we've talked running back, we've talked tight ends. I think it's about that time. Let's get into the top 12 QBs. Start things off, I just want to say you should definitely be prepared for round 4 to be the hot spot for both elite QBs and elite tight ends. See a ton of those onesie positions starting to come off the board there. The highest among all of them is Josh Allen, ADP QB1. Josh Allen's been the QB1 in 3 of the last 4 fantasy seasons, and in that 4th one, he just barely lost out to Patrick Mahomes. This year, however, it is a little bit of a changing of the guard in the Buffalo receiving core. We're going from Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis up top to relying on Dalton Kincaid and rookie Keon Coleman. Now, I do expect both of these guys to be major long-term contributors for Buffalo's passing game. Unfortunately, I do think we have to project a little bit of a slow start just because both of them are so young. So with that in mind, I am going to have to bump Josh Allen down 1 spot behind Jalen Hurts, who on the opposite side of things is running it back with one of the best receiving cores in the league. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, added Saquon Barkley. I also believe that fears of the downfall of the tush-push with Kelsey's exit from the team are severely overblown. Philly should be just fine. It's really the installment and the left side of their line that carries them on that front. Now, I'd be remiss not to inform you that I am an Eagles fan myself, but this ranking is based entirely on the projections, and I have put my money where my mouth is. The only other place in the league you're going to find this level of rushing upside without any big questions in the passing game is in Baltimore, actually. Lamar Jackson, he's ranked QB4 by ADP. He's my QB3. And it is basically just that rushing upside, especially rushing touchdown upside as compared to Patrick Mahomes that allows him to leapfrog into the elite tier. Jackson scores on average about 6 rushing touchdowns in a healthy season. Mahomes averages 2, and he had 0 last year. In Baltimore, Mark Andrews looks locked and loaded back to full health, and Zay Flowers is slated to take a year 2 jump. Meanwhile, in KC, Hollywood Brown is injured. Rashee Rice has a potential looming suspension, although I'm not sure it'll come down this year. And Xavier Worthy is a rookie. He looks like he's going to be really effective immediately. But there is some question marks there. I'm going to bump Lamar Jackson up, Patrick Mahomes out of this tier, down to QB4. Then in the tier with him is Anthony Richardson for Indy QB5. Now, obviously, Anthony Richardson has a massive risk profile as compared to the 4 guys above him, but I think he's the last guy on the board that gives you even a chance at the same upside as Hurts, Allen, and Lamar. When you pick Richardson, you do just kind of have to accept that you're staking your whole season on his health, which he has never shown an ability to maintain. But I must be a gambler or something because I do it a lot and I love doing it. I do really believe that if he does play 17 games, his ceiling is easily QB1 and his floor is probably like QB4. Big old tier break after Anthony Richardson. I would not consider any of the quarterbacks below him before round 6. At that point, I think CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow form a tier. Burrow is actually my top guy in this tier. Cincinnati slates to be elite as always, and I do think his ADP is a little bit depressed based on a shoulder injury that we know is no longer an issue. After Burrow, I have Kyler up next at QB7. Kyler is clearly the next man up in terms of rushing upside on the board, and he's got a really fun new toy in the passing game in Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not completely sold that this Arizona offense is going to look stellar week 1, but I do think they'll pull it together as MHJ continues to work in. The Trey McBride-Kyler Murray connection started to look really good at the end of last year, so I think that'll be solid to start it. Then I guess it's my biggest fade in the top 12, just kind of by collateral damage. CJ Stroud has his ADP at QB6. He's my QB8. I do think he lands pretty comfortable in the tier with Burrow and Kyler, but I have more faith in the established top-end pass catchers in Cincinnati as opposed to Houston. I'm not entirely sold that the Stephon Diggs experiment is going to work out. And then, of course, the lack of rushing upside for CJ Stroud just makes Kyler a very safe pick in comparison. Moving on to my final tier, it's Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, and the rookies. I'm glad to see ADP has adjusted in line with my sentiment. I'm really a fan of Jordan Love and this Packers offense, and I think him being above Dak is very fair. Can't fade Dak too far, though. He's still my QB10. Just a very stable option and a very stable offense. CeeDee Lamb has a chance at 2,000 yards this year, and Jake Ferguson is a great red zone target for Dak. If Dallas's overall offense lives up to the expectations set by Vegas, then this is right around where Dak should finish. And finally, the rookies, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. I have them flipped personally. I know people are goo-goo for Jaden Daniels' rushing upside, but I think they forget that Caleb Williams has a ton as well. And outside of the rushing upside, Caleb has the advantage on pretty much every category. He's the better talent coming in, he's in the better situation, and has better receivers. So I'll pretty confidently go Caleb QB11, Jaden Daniels QB12, but they're both excellent upside shots in your late rounds. If you do miss on the top 12 guys in one of your drafts this year, it is not the end of the world. You can pick any of these guys pretty much interchangeably. I just try to stack with one of my starting receivers. I would say everybody from Brock Purdy all the way down to Geno Smith has low-end QB1 upside. So yeah, there you go. QB approach is actually pretty simple this year. You're either going to take an elite guy with rushing upside, or just an elite guy, or just a guy with rushing upside. All fair options. Very unlikely that any of these guys are going to sink you this year. You're always going to be able to run to your waivers and pick up a solid QB2. So best of luck in your drafts. Really hope this helps you a little bit. I've got in-depth reviews like this for every other position in my profile, as well as my full rankings for every position. Go check them out. Leave a like. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.